Hi. I just wanted to say a few words about my dad, but before I do so, I wanted to thank everyone for being here. For my mom, Matt, and the rest of the family, we really appreciate it. My dad is probably watching in amazement of how many people have shown up for him throughout these couple of days. My dad was such an amazing guy. He was my best friend. I loved him so much. I loved him so much, and he loved me so much. This is probably why this is so hard for me, because I not only lost my dad, I lost my best friend. He was there for me whenever I needed and would drop anything to help me out. My dad could always make me laugh no matter what. Anytime we were together, we were laughing about something, no matter where we were or what we were doing. He always had a joke or something stupid to say that would make me laugh. But the thing I love most about my dad is he loved me, Matt, and my mom with all his heart and would do anything for us, and that's why we loved him so much. Dad, I really miss you, and it sucks that you're gone, but I love you so much, and I know you'll be watching over me. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everyone. I don't think my speech is probably going to top that, but I'm going to do my best up here. My name is Paul Price. I don't know if everyone knows me or not, but I've had the pleasure of knowing Donald for about 30 years now. And I want to thank everyone for being here today also. It's really incredible to see the turnout and the love that has been shown for Donald. I know that he's just amazed. I was having a lot of anxiety about getting up here and speaking today until I kind of realized what I think Donald would probably want me to say. And one of the first things Donald would want was for the air to be turned down to about 50 degrees in here. So if we can do anything about that. The next thing, Donald will want me to make you laugh and try to keep this as lighthearted as possible. I don't think that he really would want this to be so serious. And I was talking to Jamie Webster. He's been a real good friend of me the last few days and has helped me to get through some things. And he reminded me that if I got too emotional that I should just picture Donald in his underwear. And what Jamie didn't know when he said that was that we used to see Donald in his maroon tighty-whities every morning when he would come outside to tell us he wasn't going to school that day. And that happened at least 3 days a week whenever we would pick him up. I'm pretty sure it's a school record. Donald liked to play a lot of pranks on me, and we both kind of did that a lot, but he got me really good one time. He called me on a Saturday morning at about 6 o'clock. And this was back in the day when there was no cell phone. You actually had to pick up a landline phone and call someone. And he woke me up and told me that his car had broken down and he needed a ride, and he was about 10 or 15 miles away from me. And I didn't think about it at all. I jumped up, I got dressed, I drove up to where he was going to be. And right when I pulled into the parking lot, I instantly realized that it was April 1st. And I have never answered the phone on April 1st in over 25 years since that happened. I think that everyone really knows about Donald's incredible sense of humor. Over the last few days, I think we have really learned a lot about the magnitude of Donald's selflessness. I want you all to know how honored I am to be able to stand in front of you today. I'm honored because I get to speak about someone who, in his 45 short years, made such an enormous difference in so many people's lives. I know this just simply by the number of people that you see here today. The people that have showed up at his home over the past 5 days, the people who are just so willing to give of themselves to honor him whether it was tying the green ribbons up and down Siena Parkway, which was incredible. All of the food that people brought, just left and right, it's amazing. And just everyone was there to take care of the family. Waiting in line last night for over an hour just to get a chance to hug the family and show their love. And today, just looking at her, if you guys could see this, all the Leonetti t-shirts, Donna would be so amazed and just in such awe over all of this. He had such an impact on all of us, and it's just amazing. To me, Donald was just the best friend you could ever hope to have in your life. And it didn't matter if you knew him for 30 days or 30 years. You had some kind of positive effect on your life. Donald's legacy is one of complete and total selflessness, and he just knew how to live life right. I think the best thing that all of us can do to honor him is just to focus on what's important in your life and try to live our lives more like he lived his, because I know that's what I'm going to try to do.
Hi, my name is Woody Williams. I would like to do something a little different. I'd like for everyone in the audience to raise their hand. If they felt like they were Donald's best friend at one time or the other. I mean, it's amazing. You know, we all felt like we were special. But just to put things in perspective with Paul, over the last couple of days, I learned a story that Jenny remembers one date that Paul didn't go on with her and Donald. And that was the very first one. After that, it was Three Amigos. So I find that to be very special and something about y'all's friendship that not too many people have. But everyone knows how Donald was. He'd walk in a room and he would work the room. Not only as an ambassador for his business, but as a friend and just someone who actually cared about people. And, you know, we can say that's what we're trying to do or that's who we are, that's what we're doing. He took it to a whole new level. He would walk in the room, meet you, look you in the eye, ask your name. Nothing about him. It was always about you. It was about you, your wife, your kids. There's plenty of times when he'd meet someone a couple years later, look him right in the eye, call him by name, and ask him how their son's doing in their sports or their daughter's doing in dance, and he'd call them by name too. That's a unique quality that not too many people possess, and that's one thing that I admired about him. Another thing I admired about Donald was the fact that he gave of his time, his money, and his efforts, and gave from his heart. And when you have financial stability, it's easy to write a check and not get involved, but that's not what Donald did. You know, and he didn't do anything for recognition. He did it out of the goodness of his heart. He would always include his friends and his friends' friends to help donate, to give their time, to make everybody feel like they were a part of it. And by doing so, we always got the benefit. It wasn't the people that we were helping. And that's one thing that was very, very important to Donald. Donald hurt for those who were hurting. He raised money for families in need. He genuinely loved people. And, you know, I know the importance of being a dad. It's not something I take lightly. And I know he didn't either. And he had a dang good role model in you, Damon. The way you live your life, how you treat people, that's who Donald was. That's what we all need. So I tip my hat to you to help shaping him into being the man that he was. In closing, I've had the opportunity to do a lot of things in my life. I don't deserve any of it, but this is at the top of the charts as far as an honor or something that I've been a part of. It was an honor to know Donald, to spend time with him, to call him my friend. We can always learn from him by the way he lived his life, loving the sometimes unlovable, making us all feel special. Donald could be the life of the party, the most humble at the same time. Jeannie, Matt, and Lauren, I know I can speak for everyone in this room. It's amazing how many people are here. That Donald will be greatly missed, and my family and I will always be there for you. We love you very much.
Good morning. I'm Jonathan Michel, and the Leonettis are my dear friends. Most people's advice to me for speaking to such a large crowd would be to vision the crowd naked. Maybe Donald would tell me to envision the crowd wearing a Leonetti's graphics t-shirt. Whether that's true or not, I'm genuinely inspired by the incredible honor this community has bestowed upon Donald Leonetti. Blue jeans, t-shirts, cowboy boots. His legacy transcends any words I can speak. While Donald was a very casual man in fashion, his love for his family and friends was very poignant. His skills in business, sophisticated, and his generosity and compassion towards kids demonstrated the highest standards of etiquette and decorum I'll ever know. I met Donald Leonetti over 10 years ago with a simple statement from him. Hey, dude, I hear you like the casinos. Me too. Several years later, I asked Donald, you know, you grew up in Missouri City and you're surrounded by all your childhood friends. Why you hang out with me? Donald didn't miss a beat, and he said, me and Jenny really like Evie, Hannah, and Eddie. If I got to hang out with you, I might as well try to like you. Donald immersed my family with his. We were always included. Memorial Day, New Year's Day, Super Bowl parties, the World Series. We'd talk for hours at Roseanne's every Christmas Eve, and I learned so much about Donald's childhood. There's dozens of stories I could tell, like him and Paul shooting off rockets exploding under cars. Evie would say, who does such things? Who? Donald and Paul would chuckle like Beavis and Butthead. They would stir the kids up and muffle a hearty, "These nuts." Mama would shake her head. She'd say Donald and Paul, they just did lots of silly things. Donald loved to drive me crazy. Life was always fun, and it's always casual around the Leonettis. Donald had friends. Donald had friends that knew friends of friends that were friends with Donald. Whether we traveled to North Houston or North Lake Tahoe, Donald always ran into somebody he knew. Most recently, a new business partner of mine came over to my house for a barbecue, and he brought his girlfriend over, and after she was there for 10 minutes, realized she didn't know anybody. Then Donald walked in, engaged her instantly, catching up. They were old friends from high school. It's a small world. It's a creepy small world with Donald. We never took a car ride that Donald and Roseanne didn't talk on the phone. Sometimes they were simple and quick barbs back and forth. Other calls, Donald would work something out with his mom. He respected her and felt a very important responsibility, both in making her proud with his accomplishments and making her life easier and simpler. It was powerful. He loved aggravating her. He loved helping her. Donald loved his mother. What's up? That's what I would hear. We'd be riding around, and Donald spoke to Joanne all the time, too. Sometimes just touching base. Many times to tell stories about what their mother had done the night before. Other times to bounce off ideas about selling t-shirts. Most of the times it was just as friends. Joanne was Donald's first friend. He loved Joanne and cared deeply about his sister. Donald also adored Joanne's daughter, Jenny. and he was head over heels for his grandnephew, Aiden. Donald admired his Uncle Damon. In fact, over the years, he always raved about what a professional Damon was and what incredible influences Damon and Candy were in his life. Donald really admired how his cousins went to college, and that inspired him in shaping his own family. Donald was proud of Damon, and he loved being part of the family. A naturally gifted artist, Donald attended the Art Institute of Houston, where he met the love of his life, Jenny. Though he tried articulating his reasons for going to art school, telling me he wanted to learn a more technical approach to creating reality in the images that he created. I'm pretty sure he stayed at school just to hang out with Jenny and stay close to her. After all, Jenny's world, that's where Donald wound up. Married in 1992, they would go on to create Donald's greatest joys, Matthew and Lauren, the apples of his eye. Donald violated some of the rules in raising an infant, most notably coming home at any time during the day and waking Matthew up from a sound sleep. Donald always said, "Nonsense, I want to play with him every chance I can." Can't do that while he's asleep. Donald was so excited about Matthew going to college in the fall. It was one of the greatest milestones in his life, and he was extremely proud of Matt. Of course, there's Donald's Lulu. Donald wanted her to know that she was special. He loved Lauren and showered her with love and admiration. The father-daughter Valentine's dance was an annual highlight for Donald, and it was Lauren's birthday. He loved date nights with Lulu. Upon graduating from Dulles High School, Donald kept his job at the Quail Valley Video Store. I recall numerous occasions where Donald would share all the professional skills that he gained running the store. Donald told me that people have choices where to buy. He said, treat people nicely and fairly. They'll always come back. Concurrently, Donald followed his passion for art, freelancing as a graphic designer, selling his designs and subcontracting his work for screen and hard copy printing. Donald was a natural businessman. His side work as a graphic designer was becoming bigger than his video rental career. Believe it or not, Donald really did struggle with leaving Rode and Steve's video rental company. Donald was a very loyal businessman and friend, and he was grateful for the opportunity he had had at the video store. Heck, even at that time, Donald didn't even realize Netflix was coming. The early days of Leonetti Graphics, as I was enlightened by Donald, was about filling a void in the public schools. Every kid wanted the instant recognition after winning the big game with a champion's t-shirt, or the rally logo screened onto towels and banners for the rivalry match. Donald loved sitting with the cheerleaders and the dance teams, the coaches and the principals. But more than that, Donald saw that the schools needed someone who was flexible, creative, willing, and extremely patient. He loved creating a culture in the community. Donald always felt like no job's too big, no job's too small. We're an outlet for custom t-shirts and graphic designs, he'd say over and over. We can do it all, and they have. Donald loved hiring people that needed and wanted to work. He adopted each of his employees as members of his family. He loved his guys, and he wanted them to feel at home when they came to work. Donald really had a feel for what would work and what wouldn't. Personally, I was impressed with his gaming wear, the line of clothing for gamblers. I was sure he would sell his poker shirts to every casino and every gambler in the world. His off-the-chain designs were the envy of all of his poker buddies, but Donald's keen sense of the market steered him to put the line of clothing on the shelf for later. Retail clothing was a marketing play. Leonetti Graphics was still a service company, and Donald knew it. All in all, Donald was far more insightful and business savvy than his peers, many with fancy MBAs from prominent colleges and universities. He understood his business, and he worked to understand the businesses of the people he tried to help. Perhaps his most liberating accomplishment at Leonetti Graphics was convincing his lifelong friend, Michael McKinney, to join Paul in creating a team that now could administer the business, that could operate the business, and could drive his business. Mike unshackled him from the shop, enabling Donald to go out and grow the business, creating a consultancy service for branding and imaging, starting in an area he knew quite a bit about, restaurants. He carried the roots that he built in customer service to a keen eye on what appeals to people, not what appeals to the boardroom. And Donald ate a few burgers, pizzas, and burritos along the way, too. More than anything, I saw Donald as the most compassionate and generous person in this community, not only because he was always willing to write a check or make a donation. Donald committed his time, his home, his family, and the total energy towards helping kids everywhere. In poker, it is said that all you need is a chip and a chair, because with it, it meant you could still sit at the table and an opportunity to come back was still yours. In the final analysis, Donald's commitment to kids was his unwavering desire to give all kids a chip and a chair, create an environment that leads to an equal playing field, an honest chance. Donald wanted all kids to know that they were important. Whether a kid came from an affluent family needing some guidance or a kid from a broken home needed subsistence, I believed it pained Donald to think that a kid was suffering, either physically or emotionally. Donald really never complained about anything. He was a man of action, not excuses, and he never judged us for our shortcomings. I believe he even stretched his definition of what a kid really is. In the end, Donald would help anybody that needed it. He offered a dignified and respectful manner of giving that surprises most people when they actually hear of the magnitude and the generosity. You see, Donald helped people not for recognition. He never expected anything in return. Donald provided help in such a manner, that which created opportunity to become self-sufficient, a chip in a chair. Donald was a righteous man and will forever be remembered, taken from us way too soon. I ask that you remember him for what he did and how he did it, because all in all, Donald did it right. I will forever miss you, my dear friend. Rest in peace, Donald Leonetti.